everybody, and welcome to this video of myself and Liz Drew.
Hello.
And we're here to look at 5 of the Rovner fabric style ligatures. Now, we've done a few videos about ligatures. We've done a top 5 metal where we've covered lots of different brands, but here we're focusing really on the Rovner because they do a really nice range from just the basic sort of replacement ligature that might get you into this sort of world up to things which are metal and fabric and have little features and all the rest of it. And we just kind of wanted to very briefly walk through that range. Now, just from us outset, obviously we both agree the ligature is an important thing and it has to be working correctly. But why might you want to change from just your basic cheap 2-screw thing that came with your clarinets or something like this?
Very often the cheapest ligatures which come with the instrument aren't of a particularly fine quality. They don't need to be to start with, but over time they can become slightly bent. And as soon as they become slightly bent, you can no longer have the reed squarely on the mouthpiece. So that hinders because it doesn't vibrate evenly, and if your reed doesn't vibrate evenly, you can't produce a decent sound. So to get over that, all of these cloth ligatures, material ligatures, allow you to put your reed on correctly. So it's a good thing to start investigating. Yeah,
it's fairly fundamental that the reed does its job. And I think what we're going to show you is more just that there are options as you go up the range. It's very difficult probably for you guys to hear through the medium of the video and how we're capturing the audio and what you're listening to it. There's very subtle differences between some of these ligatures that we might be talking about, but we really just want to explain the range and kind of where it sits. So first up we have, Liz, this is the Star series, which is the entry-level Rovner. And it's classic fabric style all around, simple 1-screw mechanism.
Absolutely, very, very tiny slits all the way up it, which I guess is an idea to allow greater freedom within the sound. Does what it says. Holds the reed in place, lets you play, decent noise, doesn't hamper anything. Job done.
Straightforward, exactly. So that's the first up, a very cheap and affordable entryway into this sort of...
Easy on and off, simple screw mechanism. And we move to the next.
And I think we can overlook that in the simplicity is a virtue.
It is a virtue. And then there's this one.
So this is the light, which has the little cutout in the fabric.
Little window in the fabric.
So you can just see through there. And again, the idea being perhaps the less fabric you have on there, the freer the reed is.
And yet it has greater solidity in it to that which feels more flexible when you hold it. So this had a little more firmness within it.
Yeah.
Again, does what it says, but I feel for me there's a slightly darker sound. I mean, it's minimal, but the field is slightly darker.
And then we go to what they actually call the dark, brother of the light, and you can see there's a cutout here versus no cutout on the dark. And so there's just literally, it's the same design of everything else, there's just a little bit more fabric in this one, basically.
They have 2 tiny little holes either side, don't they?
Yeah.
And these slits as well all the way up it.
Just to allow for that flexibility.
So it's similar to the first one, except the material is slightly denser, I suggest.
Yeah.
There's more to blow against with that.
A little bit more resistance to, which can be a good thing.
Which is good, developing breath and control and support and all that.
And as we go up through the range, now we're on to this.
This is different again, isn't it, the material of this?
Yeah, so the material, and it's sort of double wrapped here as well, and it's sort of a more textured material, isn't it? And that's called the Mark III. So as we're working through this range, fundamentally, they're getting a bit heavier and denser and chunkier. Yeah, exactly.
But there's, as you say, there's double fabric, and it has a texture to it, as opposed to that is a smooth texture.
Yeah. So potentially, when you add more fabric and more weight around the whole mouthpiece and what's holding the reed...
All the mechanisms are very simple. For me, I prefer a darker setup, and that just has that property about it, which I like a lot.
It heads more in that direction, doesn't it? And finally, we have the Versa, which is sort of a hybrid because it's a fabric outer, but it has a metal plate that runs down the inside.
Yes,
and you use one of these sometimes,
I do
Liz.
use one most of the time, and the idea being that the metal plate can allow the sound to resonate rather than being dulled down. But this is the same fabric as the last one we used, isn't it? So it looks, to all intents and purposes, similar, apart from these extra 2 holes here and the metal plate inside it. But you have these 2 flaps which you can put across the metal, either both of them or just one side, which for the more developing player, who is becoming more aware of the reed, etc., that can be used to great advantage. So you'll become aware as you progress of the properties of the reed and that it needs to vibrate evenly, ideally needing to vibrate on both sides, irrespective of the thickness and denseness of the cane. You can do that by taking bits of the cane off, but sometimes you don't have time. You're in a rehearsal, you're aware that one side vibrates freer than the other, so you get your ligature and you swap the flaps over accordingly, and it can transform a reed. So same reed. Which has dried up slightly during the process of talking, but it does, when it's working well, it just has that, it just has an extra ping to it, but it can absolutely transform a reed.
There's a bit more brilliance and directness in that sound as well, but I think if you're putting them all back to back, they are quite subtle.
It is.
Yeah, so it very much depends on what you're looking for, the vibrancy you like, if you like a little resistance or very free blowing, the reed, the mouthpiece, all the usual things we know, and obviously plenty of practice, which is what it all comes down to. But
indeed, I can't get away from that.
No, the reed has to be doing its job. And I think if you like the sound of the fabric style ligatures, which tend to be a little darker than the metals, which tend to have a little bit more ring and ping, so to speak, then the Rovners are a really great place to start. And you could try maybe 2 or 3 different ones, try them at home, try them in the band, try them in the orchestra. And so we allow you to do that with the approval period. So you can order them from us 3 at a time, try them at home, see how you get on, and just send back what you don't like. But in theory, there should be a ligature for everybody.
To suit you.
Exactly, you just got to find it. Okay, do you want to play us out a little more if you can?
Sure,
Liz?
just pop this on
using
quickly.
the Versa.
There we are, just pop that on.